What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 20 of the Brahma Bullpen. So much stuff going on right now. We just got through the supplemental draft. We covered that in our last episode. We got all kinds of crazy news coming out, so we know we're getting close to the season. And then we have free agent signings every everywhere. Uh, watch for episode 21. We're going to deal specifically with free agent signings. Here on episode 20, we're going to talk about some news from the USFL Players Association in regarding pay. We're going to talk about a new home for the Brahmas. Hello, not San Antonio. Don't get scared. San Antonio's still home of the Brahmas, but we're going to talk about some office space and practice field stuff. Um, we're going to talk about some local happenings in San Antonio. Head coach Wade Phillips was down here doing his media rounds. We're going to kind of talk about one of the interviews that he did while he was down here. And we're going to talk about January 15th draft. So this episode, we won't talk about free agents. We will talk about the draft that happened on the 15th. The free agents comes later. So the next episode, we'll have free agent news, tons of free agent news. So lots of stuff going on across the entire league. Every team's got information coming out. We're working on some exciting new interviews coming up. So stay tuned here on the Brahma Bullpen, part of the United Football Media Group, your only home for San Antonio Brahma news, Brahma Bot Podcast. We are the spot for spring football coverage here at the UFM and the Brahma Bullpen. So with all that, let's get it going, man. Uh, all right. Here's the slide from the USFL Players Association. It's got different breakdowns on there. It's got all kinds of information. Basically, what's taking is comparing what the association and the players were promoting last year to this year. We'll touch on the highlights there. Feel free to read through this as we're going through it. But one of the big things here is the $150 a week raise. That might not sound like a lot, but when a lot of people are complaining about the raise because you go from 16 teams down to 8 teams, a lot less people on the payroll. Why is the raise not bigger? And I understand that initially as a train of thought, but the reason the league is condensing is because of cost, right? So a lot of it has to do with uh, saving money and putting the money where it needs to go. We'll talk about where the money went. So one of the things, a new item here, if you can see, camp salaries. So even when players who are just on the camp roster, they also get the raise. So it's active players plus the players on the camp. Right now, we got 75 players in camp, which is more than last year. The roster spots are up 17. So there's 17 spots. So there's 17 more salaries on camp plus the 150 times 17. You can see how a lot of the money could get ate up real quick. Um, and the league's not even making money yet, right? They're not they're selling tickets, but they're not playing games and there's nothing on TV, so the revenue money's not coming in yet. And then you got all the merger and off-season costs. So you can see where that's going. Minimum active roster went up 2 spots to 42 from 40. There's gonna be some players that are on the roster not active every week that will also get paid. So that's pretty cool. It's just a way of helping with the attrition and making sure that players can stay healthy and teams can be fully staffed for the games. Some other stuff that came up, new pay. We were talking about pay. It's a big deal, right? But player of the weeks get $1,000 bonus now. That's new. If you make the all UFL team, that's $2,500 a week bonus. That's new. I mean, excuse me, at the end of the year, $2,500 bonus. Player of the year, $5,000 bonus. Now you're getting into some serious money. If you get league MVP, that's $7,500. So I mean, you do the math, but basically what I'm reading is whoever the best quarterback in the league is going to get a $15,000 bump at the end of the year. You know they're going to be all USFL team. You know they're going to be player of the year, and you know they're going to be MVP. It's all going to be the same person. They're not going to have a different player every year over what the MVP is going to be. So basically, this is just your league-wide MVP, i.e., whoever is the best quarterback, because they don't give MVPs to linemen and D linemen, defensive backs, kickers. Let's go into a quarterback. I mean, they don't even give it to wide receivers, right? Running backs. I mean, they should. I mean, I almost think every position should have its own MVP with a little bonus because all positions are needed to win, and this is a team sport. But, i.e., best quarterback in the league is going to get a nice bonus at the end of the year. All right, let's go to the next slide here. Uh, Severance fund, 250K. So that's something new that wasn't there last year. Excuse me. I might have to edit that out. Uh, Severance fund. That wasn't there last year. So there's another $250,000 that the league is shelling out to help players that get cut. It's probably league wide. They're probably going to have to uh, split that somehow. That's more internal workings at the USFL Players Association, and the players need to worry about, not so much as fans. But we're just kind of going over this right now as news. Teams now get an extra trainer. They went from 2 trainers to 3 trainers. Uh, all about health, helping the players stay healthy and stay on the field and make sure they can get back in the game when they need to. So the other thing is IR players get stipends. Last year, players that went on injured reserve didn't get those stipends that they use for their rooms and meals and all that stuff while they're playing. Now they will, up to $2,500. Another thing that I think is instrumental to player health and to success of the league is now players are allowed to go get that third party doctor, the neutral party doctor opinion on health matters. Um, I don't know. I've had some health issues, and when doctors want to start cutting into me, I like to get a second opinion. And so should professional athletes, right? That's a good thing. Uh, Another big thing here is non-competing leagues are now allowed, and basically anything that's not going to mess with the UFL schedule is going to be allowed for the players. So in the past, for the USFL, they could play for NFL teams, but they didn't want them going to arena leagues or indoor leagues or these other fly by night spring football leagues that are popping up all over the place, Major League Football or what all these other leagues are that are nowhere near on the level of the UFL. But it's awesome that the UFL is letting players branch out. A lot of players with all the attrition in rosters and the limited number of spots are starting to show up in the Canadian Football League, which is great. Anywhere these players can go to continue their career is awesome, and kudos to the league for allowing them to do that. So that's that. That's a USFL, a Players Association pay breakdown. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on the Twitters, the X, excuse me. You can find it on X, wherever, if you want to look at it closer, or go back and pause the video. All right, let's get into the new digs, courtesy of Mark Perry and the USFL News Hub. Uh, it it looks like that the league is expanding. They're putting down more roots up in the Dallas Fort Worth area. A lot of people don't know Dallas Fort Worth. There's like 100 million cities in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So when people say DFW, they're really referring to literally at least 100 cities. One of the cities is Bedford. The league just leased 19,768 square feet of office space in Bedford. Uh, it's a place called Skywalker Properties. It's going to serve as the operational base for the Brahmas and for the Michigan Panthers. I don't know, man. Why do they stick us with the Michigan Panthers? I mean, but anyways, it is what it is. We'll be the best team in that building. I guarantee that. Anyways, but it'll be a place for team operations for both teams, and other teams are probably sharing spaces and other places that either hasn't been reported yet or they're still looking. There'll definitely be some teams that'll be specifically housed inside the Choctaw Stadium, which is where the league's headquarters is at. Uh, the other part of this news is Pennington Field, which is close by to the leased offices, is designated at one time in the state of Texas to be the most used football stadium in the entire state of Texas, or most used stadium, excuse me, in the entire state of Texas, which is wild when you think about it. It was also voted one of the best places to watch a high school football game. You can see my little graphic I put together right here. I just took Photoshop something from the Alamo Dome and photoshopped it into Pennington Stadium's field there. So it actually looks pretty good. If you're looking at the deal, it'd be pretty neat to see a Brahmas logo with a practice field and stuff on there. I wonder, we'll put a Michigan logo on there, but it'll be real small and it'll make it look like a little cat, Michigan kitty cats. But anyways, one of the cool things about this stadium is it has multiple gyms in it. It was built as a multi-purpose stadium with 2 gymnasiums. The football field is also used for soccer field and everything else. It's got a 12,500 seating capacity, 500-person seating capacity. So who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky and open practice up, and we'll get to go watch some practice. But places for the office folks, the admin, the coaches, the film room and training and all that stuff separate from all the other teams so that they can focus on San Antonio Brahma stuff. And then a practice field that you only have to shuffle with one other team with. So that's pretty cool. Uh, Edit this out. Sorry. My phone wasn't Dang, my bad. But anyways, sweet practice field, and Brahma's got their own space, be able to focus on what they need to do to win football games. So that's awesome. Totally cool stuff happening in the league. We're getting closer and closer to game time, and I just want to cover some non-personnel related news uh, a little bit. I brought it up a few episodes ago, and we've talked about it in the past. Trying to focus on personnel right now is absolutely crazy and tedious. Uh, and it's changing so much over the next few weeks. So we'll try to save real in-depth roster breakdown once we get past training camp cuts. All right, on to the interview. So Wade Phillips was, in fact, not just Wade Phillips. From what I could tell, probably every coach in the UFL was making media rounds this past week, doing local sports shows hit. I know Wade Phillips hit at least two or three down here that I know of. I listened to the one on 94.1, the San Antonio Sports Star. They did a pretty good job interviewing the coach. They talked a little too much Cowboys. Wade Phillips was a coach of the Cowboys at one time, and so they spent too much time digging into what his interactions with Jerry Jones was like and trying to shift that into, is Jerry going to fire Mike McCarthy because they got their butts kicked by Green Bay in the playoffs? But we tried to get some Brahma specific questions in there. I was able to post on X and tag Jason Minix in there and get them to ask about coaching staff news. So here's the graphic. We do have some confirmed coaching staff uh, announcements. We didn't get any defensive roster, but of course we got confirmed that offensive coordinator AJ Smith is coming, which is awesome. He's also bringing Peyton Party with him, who's going to serve as the wide receivers coach. They did those same positions up in Houston. So that spread offense is coming, baby. There ain't no question about it no more. If you're a wide receiver and you're not on the Brahmas roster, sorry to be you, because this is where all the balls are going to be flying down here. And then one cool hire is offensive lineman Andre Girard. Uh, just to kind of go over their stats a little bit. AJ was with Houston, and Andre played for the Cowboys. Peyton was a position coach in Houston. One of the interesting parts of the interview, they didn't talk about uh, coaches for defense, but Wade Phillips says he in no way will allow his team not to have the number one defense in the league. Our defense is stacked. We've talked about it past few episodes. Get ready. We got the best linebacker core in the nation, and with some of the free agent sizes and things we're seeing out there right now, we're gonna have the best secondary in the country too, in the league, no doubt about it. Uh, One thing that was interesting about the interview, Coach Phillips talked about coaching philosophy. He was part of coaching philosophy on offense and defense. They were asking about, why do you coach defense? And he said, well, I played defense, and then he told a story about when he was playing defense. His dad was coaching him there at Houston, and they would Houston Cougars in college, and he was able to go into the actual coaching rooms and sit in the meetings and see how his dad handled meetings. And Wade Phillips played linebacker, so he has an affinity for defense. And but he did talk about how he was involved in the philosophy of the offense as well. I went back and watched some of the Houston Roughneck games last year, and the communications between AJ Smith and Wade Phillips was very noticeable, especially in the XFL broadcast, because everybody's mic'd up and you can hear everything they're talking about. So that's kind of cool that he brought that up, and that he talked about his love of football and how he got it from his dad, and a little bit of the San Antonio and Houston rivalry. Um, with that, we're going to get into the January 15 draft. This episode, we wanted to focus on those players that were drafted. There was 10. So when we went in that draft, the UFM did a live draft. We didn't know how many rounds. We didn't know what was going on. It was kind of chaotic and hectic getting information in and out, but it was way better than the first draft that they did in top secret in a bunker somewhere that they didn't tell anybody about. So that was cool. It was awesome to be able to at least get updates on the socials and see what was going on with everybody's team. So that was fun. We had a good time doing a live stream of that. We had a lot of technical difficulties in our draft show, but hey, we're getting there, buddy. We're getting there. I do want to point out that the Brahma Bullpen, we don't have many technical difficulties while we're doing this show. I don't know if you've noticed. We got a very professional producer who gives great advice every time you ask for it. But anyways, so they were trying to blame me for technical difficulties, and I was justified by claiming it wasn't me. So we had technical difficulties, but it was not from the cow pasture. Here in the cow pasture, our technicalities work. Thank you very much. Go Brahmas. Anyways, all right, so let's talk about some of our draft. First pick in the draft. We're going to go in order 1 through 10. So, number 1 pick, Quentin Normandy, quarterback out of Central Michigan, played for Orlando. He didn't start for Orlando, but when he did play for the Orlando Vipers in the XFL last year, he did a great job. He's an exciting pickup at quarterback. The quarterback room is just got deeper. I think him and Jack are actually familiar with each other. I don't know if anyone remembers the quote unquote playbook scandal where San Antonio Brahma player got a playbook from a supposedly got a playbook from a Orlando Viper. Uh, that was Jack and somehow their buddies or roommates or something. Anyways, it wound up not happening. The playbook was a bunch of nonsense. And anyways, the Brahmas won. Suck it, Orlando. Get over it. All right. Uh, Position 2, Trey Botts, defensive tackle out of Colorado and Pueblo State. Not much stats on him yet, but this 3-4 roster we got coming. We need big guys in the middle, and Trey Botts can do that for us. Pick number 3, offensive tackle BJ Wilson. He's one of those out of Houston players from Quincy, Illinois. So getting a little bit deeper there at the O line. Pick number 4, Chris Steele, cornerback out of USC. A lot of people say, "Oh man, there's no such thing as good defense at USC," but hey, we got us a good cornerback coming down here. Pick 5 was Darian Parker, another offensive tackle, played for Houston, was at Mississippi State. Big guy, big body, SEC tackle. You never go wrong with too many SEC tackles. Pick number 6, KD Cannon, wide receiver out of Baylor. He is Ace, who's part of the United Football Media Group, is excited that he's here. They actually went to school together at the same time. If you go back and watch our broadcast from the draft, you'll get a little inside story of Mr. Cannon, and evidently he's a pretty cool dude. Not one of those athletes that are the pretentious prima donna athlete kind of guy. Seems like a normal dude that likes to play football. So we're excited. He's going to be here. He had a great career up at Baylor, and we're looking forward to seeing him down here in San Antonio. On to pick number 7. Pick number 7, probably the favorite pick of any lifelong Brahmas fan in this 10-person draft, Landon Akers. So Landon Akers played wide receiver at Iowa State. He played in the XFL for Houston and for San Antonio. So he'll be coming back home to San Antonio and back home with Wade Phillips from Houston. So Landon Akers is one of those Wes Welker slot receiver type guys. It's funny how people get grouped into positions based upon how they play, but I mean it seems like that's what he plays. Slot receiver in the middle, great route runner, good hands, and quick. Maybe not so fast down the field in flat out open run, but quick, making cuts. So Landon Akers was our 7th pick. The 8th pick was another guy out of Houston, free safety AJ Hindy. He played up in Maryland. He was 4th in tackles for the Houston Roughnecks last year. And if you remember back, we got the number 1 and number 3 tacklers from Houston Roughnecks defense already on our roster. So now we got the 4th leading tackler from Houston in our roster. This guy's going to definitely be a day 1 starter at the safety position for us. No questions about it. Secondary just got stronger with Mr. Hindy. So welcome to San Antonio, and let's go, baby. 9th pick, offensive tackle John Yarborough out of Richmond, another day 1 starter. I believe he started all 10 games for Houston last year. Watched that game when the Brahmas, game 3 last year when the Brahmas played Houston up in Houston, and Yarborough and of course Alex Millette were mainstays on that line, which Millette's our center, and Yarborough was right there playing guard there off to his right. So look for that to continue. They already got communication down, man. And then last but not least, our last pick, Cody Kress, wide receiver out of Sam Houston State. So we'll see what he can do. Not a lot of stats for him, but hey, we'll take any Texas guy we can get him on the roster. And we got so many wide receivers in camp right now. Somebody's going to have to stick, and someone's going to have to win. And everything we got going here in San Antonio, we're going to look to have this spread offense with a flying to the ball 3-4 defense. So it's going to be awesome. And with that, that's going to be our episode. We're going to call it right there. We don't want to make these episodes go too long because we got short attention spans these days with smartphones and everything like that. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in. Remember, share, what was that? Like, share, subscribe here to the Brahma Bullpen. Check out the United Football Media Group for all your spring football UFL coverage. Pretty much every team's taking on there. And there's a show on there where the guys just argue. I don't know. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. It gets pretty heated, and then they even have to call in like someone from the outside to separate Ace and Webb when they get into these big fights. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. As always, let's go Brahmas. Horns forward, baby.